Hello, welcome to a video that's going to take an introductory look at walking bass lines. So the chord progression we're going to use to work with this is the one from LOVE, or at least it's my version of it. So there's probably some variations on it and here and there. This is the one I go with. So what's the chord progression we've got to work with? It starts with a G major chord. Oh, and it's in the key of G major. And you're going to be using these notes. There will be some deviations here and there, an F natural and C sharp here and there, but ultimately it's in the key of G major, and these are what you're going to be depending on most of the time, these notes with the F sharp. So you've got a G major. We hold that for 8 beats. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. Then we go to an A minor. 1, 2, 3, 4, just 4. To a D major, D dominant 7th to be more specific, back to an A minor, back to a D7, then back to a G major, and that going back to that G major, 1, 2, 3, that's another 8 beats on that G major. So we've got what our target notes are going to be. We're just going to target the root notes to begin with when we do the walking bass. So the root notes of each chord when we change. So we start where we want. So that's easy. We're in the G. We're going to have some movement, but then we want to ultimately end up at this A for when we change to A minor. And then I'm going to say I want to end up at this D for when I end up at the D major. And when I go back to the A, go back to that A. When I go back to the D, just to change things up a bit, I'm going to go back to this D. And then I want to go back to this G in the left hand here. So those are my targets. The G to that A, to that D, back to that A, to this D, to this G. So let's go. We're going to work only in stepwise motion to begin with. I will try to stick to it as strictly as possible, but I may need to break the rules a few times just to make it work. But just for illustrative purposes, I'm going to try to stick to just stepwise, just moving along the scale with some semitones added in. So I've gone down here and I'm feeling like I'm straying a bit too far from this A. I've still got 1, 2, 3, 4 more beats to get to that A, so I'm probably obviously going to travel back up. And I'm here and I'm just about to get to that A, but I'm still got 1 beat left over before I get to that A. So I'm just going to put in a semitone, and here we go with this G sharp. And now we're there. Nice smooth sound. 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 1. There we go, just seamless. And then in 4 beats I need to get to this D. But I can get there in only three notes from the G major scale. So again, I'm going to do the same thing. I'm just going to add in a semitone just before. Just like that. So. And then I want to get back down to that A. Again, similar problem, just add in a little semitone before that A. Just like that. Simple as that. Then I want to get down to this D. This shouldn't be too hard, I shouldn't need to do anything here. As easy as that. And then I want to get back up to this G, and I'm going to do the similar approach. And you'll see that I'll get to this F sharp here. There's no more note, I can't put an extra note in between the G and the sharp, so I'll just settle for this F natural here, and then we've solved the problem. So just like that, and then let's carry on with the chord progression. In fact, sorry, we're going to look at different methods with the walking bass rather than do the full chord progression, or do the full chord progression at the end. So that's one way, just stepwise like that. Then the other thing you can do is a more obvious one. You just arpeggiate the chords, break up, just walk up the chord itself, and then just for some added color, you can add in the 6th. Doesn't always have to be the 6th. It could be the 7th, just like that, and then we've got here an A minor. You could add in that 7th as well. But then, of course, if you got that 7th, we're quite far away from that D. It makes a bit of an awkward sound going back to that D. So again, we can use the semitone. Okay. And then we're quite high up here, so we can probably go down. And then this is an easy thing to do, and you hear a lot in walking bass patterns. Just an octave drop. And that just gives you an extra beat. So where do we have to go to next? The A minor chord. And then we're just traveling along the D major chord, but you'll find that by the time we get to A, we are there a bit early. We're a beat early. So again, we just want to go, we don't even need to use a semitone, we can just go to the neighbouring note in the G major scale. Just like that. So let's look at what we've got so far. And then of course, when we're at this A major chord, A minor, we can do the same thing as what we did before, but let's do something different with it. So let's go, instead of going up, let's go down. So we can just travel down, just like that. And then we need to, obviously the logical thing would go to this D, not this D. 1, 2, 3, and then when the last one, we just use a semitone. And then let's say we want to get to this D. Now, this is one of the things. You can either just slide into the note that you want, your target note, by going from a step in the G major scale above or below, or even a semitone. That makes a nice smooth sound into your target note. But what you can also do is come from a 5th above, because that also gives a nice pleasing drop into your target note. So let's see how that works. Just like that. See how good that sounded. I can try other things, and it's not going to sound quite so good. So maybe if I go to just not quite going to that C. So if I can drop from a 5th above to my note, that also means I can come up from a 4th below, because it's just going from the same note, from a D to a G. That's fundamentally what we're after, just going from the D to a G. And it's basically on the circle of 5ths. It's the neighbouring note in the circle of 5ths. So let's look at what we've got so far. Just like that. So that's now you're arpeggiating it, arpeggiating the chords, and so you can combine stepwise motion with arpeggiated motions in the same thing, and that gives a nice bit of variation. So let's work this out. So maybe to begin with, we'll start with something arpeggiated like this. And then we'll go stepwise. And then we're going to go arpeggiated. Stepwise. Arpeggiated. So as you can see, I'm just alternating between the two methods that we just looked at. And and that's basically it. That's not There's a lot more to walking bass than that, but that's a good start to make with. Just focusing on those two things stepwise and arpeggiated chords.